the next one. The violence and disorder of the world demands from us an urgency and intensity of response which we seem to lack. Our individual awareness is inadequate. Can there be a deeper awareness which meets the enormity of the problem? The violence and disorder of the world demands from us an urgency and intensity to respond, of response which we seem to lack. Our intellectual awareness is inadequate. Can there be a deeper awareness which meets the enormity of the problem? Let's inquire together, please, what is it to be aware? To be aware, to be conscious, to be cognizant, to be sensitive to everything, to nature, to people around you, sensitive in your own reactions. What does it mean to be aware? Is one aware of this marquee, or you take it for granted? Have you counted the number of poles in this marquee? Have you looked at the trees? Not give it a name, but to be aware of it, to be sensitive to it. Or is one aware of the person sitting next to you, aware of his physical movement, how he looks at people, aware of his clothes, his dress, or whatever it is? Or we are all so self-centered, we haven't time. We have no regard for another. We are so entangled with our own problems, with our own misery, that we don't look at anything else. So, to be aware, does it not mean to see, feel, look, without any choice of what is happening? To be aware of what is happening in the world. Not necessarily from newspapers and magazines, but to be aware that there are wars going on. People are killing each other. Thousands of years of shedding tears. And we don't seem to have learnt anything. To be aware of all this without any choice. One is aware as a British. What's happening here, one knows very well. But one isn't aware globally of you as a human being. So, are we aware in such a sense, a global feeling of mankind? Not the Arab and the Israelis and the British and the French and America and so on. It becomes rather silly, all that kind of stuff. To be so aware of this human suffering, human sorrow, human pleasure. And if one is so aware which is not concentration at all, aware, then the question says, is there an awareness of something very deep from which you act? That's what the questioner asks. Then there is attention, awareness and attention, not concentration. Concentration is merely focusing all your energy on a particular point. That we can do fairly easily. When you are interested in certain subjects, certain ideas, certain story, you're completely concentrated. Or force yourself to concentrate, which is to resist other intrusions of other thought. But awareness is different, to be aware, to be sensitive, to have this feeling of a movement which is a total, which is human. And attention is this quality in which there is no center from which you are attending, which means no frontiers to attention, no borders. When there is that quality of attention, which is part of love and compassion and intelligence, then from there one acts, if one or non-act. Can go on to the next one. That's the last one. At the talks you give, many of us feel or sense something of immeasurable importance. This is not romantic fantasy or illusion. It is more profoundly real than much of the rest of our lives. But after I leave, I cannot stop the gradual dissipation of that great profoundness. Sir, this is a true tragedy. What can one do? At the talks you give, many of us feel a sense of something immeasurable importance. This is not romantic fantasy or illusion. It is more profoundly real than much of the rest of our lives. But after I leave, I cannot stop the gradual dissipation of that great profoundness. So this is a true tragedy. What can one do? First, if I may most respectfully ask, are you being influenced? Are you being stimulated? Or being driven by the words of the speaker? Or the feeling of the speaker? Of what he says as true as for himself? Being influenced by all that? Then if you are influenced, and I hope you're not, if you are, then it becomes a drug. Then you lose it. Then you can't help dissipating that which you have been driven to or influenced, or that which has been said